We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright.
He does depict, without being a spoiler, he does depict city officials, Mayor X, I don't know which mayor, it's a combination of several mayors, I believe, in this character. It's kind of a bumbling, stumbling, anything that's expedient, it doesn't matter if it's true, just make it stop. Police chief is Harry Lennox, and it's a comedy, but I don't think that you all, being creative people, have any problem with the use of entertainment to send a message, right? I mean, that's part of it, right?
But look at even the trailer, right? The trailer in and of itself is a media, right? It's a form of media. People are watching it. It's giving people ideas, and even in just that trailer, it is saying that Chi-raq is real, and it's not defining Chi-raq as like it is occupied by the police in the ways that I hear Damon saying. It's saying Chi-raq meaning like the conflict, interpersonal conflict that like we can't even make sense of, and is ahistorical, right? And comes out of nothing and means nothing and is going nowhere. Where was I going with that? And but also, right, it falls into that trope of what Jennifer was just getting at. Like, there is a very real history of black women being blamed for black on black violence, right? The Moynihan report, like it is that black women demasculinize men, and it forces them to perform this hyper masculine thing, right? That leads to all of this violence that we're seeing, and that is already. How many views does this trailer have? That's already happening, right? I don't want to go see this movie and give it more money, right? But I have seen the trailer. I will see some of the clips, and so I think that we have to recognize that, like, yes, entertainment can be useful, but like, what is he trying to teach people right now? That the only power black women have is like what we do with our bodies, and that we do have some responsibility with how we've been using our bodies for the violence. That's harmful. That you are adding to the violence, right? You are adding to the problem. I've yet to see anything disrupting the normative language around why we have violence in our communities.
Also, to your question of like, are these problems happening nationally? Yes, to a certain structurally, but there are some things very specific in Chicago that he's speaking to in a way that is either culturally unaware or culturally insensitive. Chicago has a very specific culture or social identity that we know as gangs that is specific to Chicago, right? Like the gang identities that exist in other major metropolitan cities do not exist here, and we have a specific, like, the history of the GDs, the history of the Stones.
There's not a nationwide gang,
right?
Affiliate, franchise kind of thing.
So like in the way that like Bloods and Crips is like a national idea, Chicago has a very specific culture that just when I'm watching the trailer, right, and the way when you watch The Wire, it sounds like Baltimore. As I'm watching all of these scenes, it does not sound like Chicago. It does not sound like the area that you're talking about. And also, like, when we get back to what is structurally specific about Chicago, right? Like, we have to remember that the largest school closings in the history of the world happened here in this era that he's talking about. And also,
well, I have an also for you, because we have talked a lot about what the film does have or doesn't have, and we do not intend this to be a film review. We're talking about the place that has become famous as Chi-raq. They are real places in Chicago that, and even in the movie, the opening rap tries to explain, maybe defend the use of, where the rapper says, I am not from Chicago, I'm from Chi-raq. And that we are separate cities where different things happen. But can't the lessons, if there were solutions that could be applied in these areas of Chicago known as Chi-raq, wouldn't those same solutions apply elsewhere? You talked a lot about a police state. The police issue is not, I'm just going to say this, not really addressed very well in this film. You can only do so many things, I guess, in one film if it's not a documentary.
And how is that possible in a moment, of the Laquan tape, in a moment, I mean, after the summer that this country has had? That seems incredibly irresponsible, and also, I understand that it's a work of fiction. It seems like fiction on another planet, and I think, what does Chi-raq get to? It gets to, I think, what you had said, that this this city is radically split along racial, socioeconomic lines, and if it doesn't do the work of ultimately, reimagining how the city can be drawn, how we can live as a city that is very different than the one that we currently inhabit, then what work is it doing?